Hello and welcome to Board Stupid. My name's Wayne.
And I'm Matt.
And here we are in the middle of winter, but I'm staying warm with maledictions and curses taking me to the fires of hell with our preview
Of Malediction.
I got there in the end.
We did not rehearse this.
We never rehearse. You've come to know this at this point.
But yeah, we're talking about Malediction.
This is a new, amazing, interesting project
from Loot Studios.
Loot Studios, and it is incredibly ambitious. And if you want to know exactly how ambitious, then we recommend
to hit the subscribe button.
No curses.
But as soon as you click it, you know everything.
You know everything. No maledictions, no curses required. Just subscribe, and then you'll hear from us twice a week, every week.
Wait,
this intro's cursed.
Yeah, let's go into the video.
Yeah. Rolling dice, feeling nice. Cardboard dreams and game schemes. Click subscribe, it's a vibe. Board Stupid's all we need. Board Stupid, game reviews for you and me. Board Stupid, here's what you should play and see.
All right, we can now start talking about Malediction.
Okay.
So Malediction is the new game. It's the first actual game from Loot Studio. Loot Studio, if you are a miniature painter, if you like minis and all that stuff, it's a studio that made the boom a few years ago. They basically, what they do, they produce STL files for all the people out there with a 3D printer that likes to 3D print and do amazing miniatures. And they got amazing sculptors, and their work is always like super excellent. And the last few years, they started to actually go into more of the board gaming, war gaming scene with a proper presence, with a proper game, and this is Malediction.
This is the game. So this is a prototype that we've kindly been sent by Loot Studios to take a look at. And this, Matt, if I can boil it down for the people at home, is like the illegitimate love child of Magic the Gathering and Warhammer Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, they made sweet love.
Sweet love.
Malediction
came out with this cursed, fabulous cursed product. So, and it is very much that, Matt. You described that to me the first time you talked about it.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
I don't know what that is, but it sounds cool. And that is what it is.
It is. So, this is the best description. We're not the first saying this because it's quite obvious. But if you played Magic before, if you played Warhammer or any skirmish game out there, the rules are basically a mix and match of these two kind of genre. And but what they did in here is more than that. So the sum is bigger than the
parts. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's just like
so just let's talk about the presentation of the game, and we can talk about it a little bit because normally with our previews we don't have a final copy, so we won't necessarily touch on production. But as far as we've been told, Matt, this is a near final prototype.
It's a near final, so this is probably the best prototype we've ever seen.
I mean, it is absolutely top notch. Cards are great quality, artwork phenomenal, great stuff in it.
So in each box, so you can see 1, 2, 3. There's another one there, 4. So the game is divided in 4 different boxes. There are the 4 different factions. So the game found at this point should be live while you're watching this, and basically in each boxes you will find one of the factions, and you got inside the box everything that you need to start the game as a single player
faction. You get one person stuff in this giant box.
There's not going to be, if you want to buy, if you want to play with your friends and your friend is not going to back the project, you need to buy at least 2 boxes. But in each boxes you will find the all the cards for that faction, a second deck of cards that is the expansion for that faction. You're gonna find all the 2D terrains and all the not the minis but the standees, the rulers, the dice, the trackers and everything. So the actual box is full of stuff, and so far what we've seen It's an amazing artworks. It's one of the best
great art.
artworks. That I love this type of artwork.
It's a great vibe.
Each faction is very different from each other. And you will see. We'll put some images around here.
You'll see.
But you have like different factions that do different things, and the artwork is very well represented.
Matt, do you know what? It reminds me of old school Magic.
It does.
Like old school Magic, where you had your core colors, your red, white, blue, green, black. And it's that, and you imagine all of the old artwork from like the 90s, 2000s. It's kind of going there, maybe more towards the early 2000s.
And
it's really cool.
And it's touching exactly that. So the 4 faction that you can find, there are the red faction, the blue faction, the black, and the white.
And if you've played Magic, it kind of
play that way.
Plays that way.
Yeah, exactly. So you will have the blue being the mage doing counter spells and all that stuff.
Funky stuff, yeah.
The black playing with the graveyard, and the red being the aggro, and the white being angels and shields and health back.
Etc.
But so this is like a little bit on the production side.
Production, yeah.
Now let's talk about the game, how this game plays. So we say love child of Magic and Warhammer. Is it because this is still a skirmish game?
It is.
But you
heavily card driven.
But you play with a card. So you will have your deck of cards.
Yep.
That's basically gonna drive what you can do. Now, if you played any skirmish game before, you know that you will have your troops, your enemy, the other player will have his own troop. You put in the troops on the maps, and then you move them around. Each troop will have their own
stats. They'll fight and they'll battle,
and they shoot each other and the magic and all that stuff
that they do. Yeah.
Here. The creature, your troops that you're gonna put on the battlefield are driven by the cards.
Yeah.
So like in Magic, when you actually put
summon a creature,
creature, instead of just being a card on your tableau, it's gonna be an actual mini or standees on the battlefield.
Which is really cool as a concept. So you play your card. You pay your cost in mana, or in this game is going to be echoes, which is tracked on one of these trackers here. And each creature will have a specific cost. Pay it, stick it on the battlefield. If you can't pay it, you can't summon it. And the same works for things like spells in this game. Because you have spells which you have like instants, which you can play sort of at any time, or quick spells. Right? And then you have more like channeling spells, which you have to play during an activation, which is quite interesting when we get into the skirmish side of this, where kind of like Kill Team, you do alternating activations, which I really like.
I love it so much because it's really way more interactive. I move one unit, you move your unit, I'll move my unit. Something that I think Warhammer, the general Warhammer 40k or fantasy lack a little bit is that you got that big downtimes between turns. While other more faster game like Infinity or Kill Team, they do very well, and they kind of like got the same idea. Why not? That works, and it makes it more interactive within players, and it's really good. So alternate fashion, we play each one action each basically until the end of the turn.
And you have terrain in the game as well, represented in the these base boxes by this sort of flat 2D terrain. There are wild sculpts that you can download and get, which we'll get to that a little bit later.
Yes, we'll talk about that later.
But the terrain is really well done. I mean, it has some lines on it which demarcate whether or not it is line of sight.
The idea is you go one side where you got just the 2D version of the artwork of the terrain that you can use once you're an expert in the game. The other side instead is going to have like red or yellow lines to delimit where the line of sight will be broken or where you cannot access. Exactly, something like that.
So it is absolutely a tactical skirmish game as well as being a kind of dueling card game. I think that makes it really interesting because they've managed to blend those things together really, really well. You do feel like you're playing both of those things.
Yes.
Like you do need to have a good understanding of your cards, and you do also need to be able to manipulate the troops around the map in order to be successful. But this game, Matt, doesn't drag on for hours. It's done in An hour?
Yeah,
maximum.
an hour. Yes,
Really?
exactly. There are different ways of playing the game, so you can choose how many points you want to score, and the points are scored with objectives that we're gonna touch.
We'll cover that in a minute.
Or killing other units, they're gonna give you points.
They'll give you points as well.
First player to get to 25, 35, 40, you can decide how many points, and that's the end of the game.
That's it.
Simple as that. So the accessibility to the game, again, we're going to talk about it, is very, very
It's
high.
pretty good. Yeah, absolutely. The game doesn't set up in particularly long either. You can get going pretty quickly compared to other war skirmish games.
Oh, yes.
For sure. And like you said, you can get done and dusted with this within an hour for sure. I think it's a really interesting approach to something like a tactical skirmish and card dueling game.
Now, for all the rules and everything, the basic rules of the games are downloadable on the Game Founder or the Loot Studio website. So, and they have a very, very well produced how to play playlist on YouTube. We're gonna leave the link down below, or just check the Loot Studio or Malediction page. So, if you want to go into the nit and grit of what the rules do. But saying that, what I really like about this game, as you said, is the fact that it's fast, it's accessible, it got some quirky things like, again, you play Magic and Warhammer at the same times, but the rules are not overwhelming.
That is true. At this point in the game, it's keyword driven to some extent, but then you also have unique rules. But there wasn't a point where I felt like I was really unstuck. And I think you taught the game to me in 20 minutes.
Yes.
Which is not bad.
For a skirmish game, I think it's...
Try to teach me Sigmar in 20 minutes. I think you get to about the movement section in the rulebook before you get anything else. So it is more accessible than that. And at this point, and I'm going to stress at this point, excluding anything like expansions and additional stuff that might come in the future, the interactions seem pretty clear to me.
Yeah, exactly.
In
all
our
the
experience.
rules as well, special rules or whatever, are on the cards, and the cards always override whatever the main rule is. But it's pretty straightforward.
Yes.
You don't need to spend too much time. Something like Warhammer or Infinity or any other of these kind of games, you need weeks just to understand the rules.
Or a special judge in Magic. I will say at this point, there were certainly times when I think we had questions around timing, questions about specific definitions of stuff, but that is going to be the nature of a game like this, especially one that is in development still. Right? Okay, it's not
almost
there or thereabouts, but there are clarifications I'm sure that will be coming, but I can't tell you with a clean conscience that every single game we played was free of questions, because that's not true. We had a couple of questions.
Of course. I mean, this again, if you played Magic or Warhammer before, you will have a very good platform to start and play the game straight away.
Yes.
If you never play one of these games, you will need a little bit of a learning curve. And again, there are rules, and they're very well explained, but sometimes you just need to go a little bit back,
through the instructions as well.
Especially at the start, the first few times you play. I think the first game that we had, it took a little bit. The last time that the last game that we gave, it was done. So that's really good.
Okay, Matt, much like how Warhammer and similar games have lent into a kind of more objectives-based play, Malediction has started that as part and parcel of the game, where you're going to be running around trying to keep control of these husks, which are the objectives.
These ones.
See right there. And that's really cool, because it really adds a really great tactical element to the game, and they also do something else as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. So at the end of the round, whoever controls the objective basically takes up a relic. That means that the objective disappears from the map, and it becomes like a buff for the units that take that objective. But that means that then the troop is going to move around, and whatever that troop dies is going to drop the relic in there. That means that the objective marker then becomes where it
on the map, which is great. So you've got these moving objectives that are sort of just dancing around the map with the trooper that has that particular objective. As long as you've got it, you've got 10 points. But when you drop it, you lose those.
You lose 10 points. So there's been a game that we had that Wayne was running around the map.
Both objectives.
With both objectives. I'm like, come back and die.
Trying to kill me quick enough, so I drop them on the map, which is really, really cool. We played with 2 objectives on the base map.
Yeah, on the base map,
On
yes.
the base map,
on the
smaller
yes.
map. We played a bunch of times, but you can play a bigger scale game as well.
Yeah, exactly. So you can go up to, I think it's a 2.5 foot feet per table, something like that. But you can expand. You can you can ideally make the map as big as you want, with as many terrain as you want. You can play with no terrains at all. It's just like you play as you want. Then I'm sure that competitive tournaments and all the stuff, they're gonna have like restricted rules, but who cares about
Who cares about that?
who care about
I'll tell you who does care about them, and that is Malediction. I think they have ambitions to potentially make a competitive scene.
Yes.
But because I think this game has all of the qualities needed to make that happen.
So a few weeks ago, we had a chat with Silvio from Loot Studio. Silvio,
hello.
How you doing? Obrigado. And we explained us a little bit more about the game. What's the vision of Loot Studio? Because again, one of my first questions was like, all right, guys, this is you've been in the market as minis and scopes and 3D files and all that stuff, absolutely magnificent, but you're entering a very different world. So why and how? And he explained very much that in the team, they had these things that like, we want to make our own games, but at the same time, they knew that they had to pick up the right people to do something like this in a grand scale.
Yeah, with this amount of ambition.
Yeah, and they did pick up a lot of people from, not a lot, a few key people from all the design studios, stuff like that, to try to put together like an Avenger team and create this game. And I can tell you guys that you feel it, because when you play the game, there is not much like it's very much okay. That's the game. Let's play it, and it's fun to play. So that's a very, very well done. Again, for being the first game, this is huge.
It's a huge, ambitious project, and it is cool as heck. I mean, we played it dueling 1 versus 1.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't heard anything from the team. I'm just spitballing. I imagine you could play multiplayer.
There is a version. There is a version that
I didn't even know that.
In the rules, so you can play 2 versus 2.
Cool.
So
team game would be super cool. I think I'd even prefer that. Yeah.
And touching on that, so in the box you're gonna find the basic text for each one of your faction.
Yep.
On top of that, you're gonna find another deck that, as soon as you got a little bit more hands on the game, you can start doing the deck building.
Nice. Yeah.
So
a little bit of deck construction.
Yeah,
as well.
exactly. So you got more cards for your faction that you can change, mix and match with the cards in the standard deck. And on top of that, I love it. You're gonna find we haven't touched it, but each faction will have a champion, what is called a seeker. That is gonna be basically your big buddy.
That's your boss.
The big boss that you can put on the map and be like, oh, about me, bro. You always play with one. What they've done, they introduced this double faction seekers, double faction champions, where, for example, the black one will have a black and blue, so you can buy the blue faction as well and mix the card between black and blue and create your own combination. So there is a lot of reminder like how you play Magic with the cards when you do double decks. But they've done it in such like I don't know. It's just smooth.
Okay.
I find it very smooth, and I really like it. So.
Matt really likes it. It's super cool.
I'm afraid that I do. The next things that I want to touch about it. We don't cover miniatures and stuff. That's not what we normally do on the channel. Even if I think, Wayne, how many hours have you spent like painting minis in the last couple of weeks?
A lot. Too many. Too many.
We both
hours and hours.
Yeah,
I love painting minis. Yeah.
Exactly. We both love paintings. We both got a lot of minis. It's not something that we cover usually on the channel.
No.
But what you're gonna find in the box is a download link for all the miniatures of that specific faction. And if those are 3D STL files, then if you have a 3D printer or your friends got a 3D printer, or I think there are
want to pay for them somewhere, online service that can do
that you're gonna get the miniature included in the price that you pay for the box.
Great. That's really cool.
On top of that, there is no reason for you to have the minis. You can play absolutely fine with the standees.
Standees, totally functional.
From a classic board game experience,
Yeah.
in the box you got the standees, with the right size of the base. That is the.
It's the only thing that really matters.
Yeah,
really.
exactly. Because they want to check if you want. If
Drawing
you can
line
get
of sight
it.
is base to base. Moving, you need the right base size. et cetera.
But that's another thing that I asked the guys at Loot Studio, and Silvio confirmed. If the game, if let's say that the game goes boom and it does like big tournaments or whatever, you can play with whatever you want. The only thing is the size of the base needs to be the same. So if you want to go to a tournament, to the world champion tournament of Malediction with your standees,
you can do that.
There is no one stopping you.
Fair enough.
That is different from someone else, isn't it?
Almost everything else, I think. It's quite cool. Matt, do you want to go into a little bit of final thoughts before we wrap this boy up? Let's wrap it up.
Okay, Wayne, let's go final thought for this preview of Malediction.
Yeah.
Should be live while you're watching this. I think so.
Link below, probably.
That was the promise. Let's hope that this
Don't blame
edit
us.
was done in time.
Yeah. Yes. Final thoughts on Malediction. This is, like I said, it has a feeling of kind of old school Magic to me, which is cool. It does have that skirmish side of it as well, and that blend I find absolutely fascinating and really interesting. I've said, Matt, that this isn't really something that, to be perfectly honest, is not something I see myself playing a lot of. Right?
Yeah, fair enough.
Because this isn't the kind of game that I normally play. You know me very well.
Yeah.
People who watch the channel know me very well. I'm your midweight Euro guy. That's what I love. That's the games that I really like. But I can't tell you with a straight face that I didn't enjoy this game. I have had a blast playing this game. It is really fun. Got my ass kicked, but it was really, really fun. And I'd be really excited to play different modes of it, like 2 versus 2.
Yeah.
Or multiplayer, like a 3-way, like triple triangle, or whatever it's going to be. Like, that would be really, really fun. I'd be really keen to do that.
Yeah.
I think the deck construction elements are really interesting as well and fascinating. I am interested to see how potentially broken that can become. Because there's a lot of potential. I mean, just a few of the cards that we've seen as we've been playing, I've been like, that sounds really powerful. And then, like, if you combine that with that, like, what? So that's really interesting. So I'm keen to see how that develops. So the project, like I said, is tremendously ambitious, and I have a massive amount of respect for it. And it is super cool. That's my thoughts.
I think that so I've got a background. Let's call it background.
Background.
That sounds silly.
I've got a degree, PhD.
A degree. When I was young, I used to play a lot of Magic in a competitive way. Too much. At a certain point, I had to get basically hospitalized.
It's bad for your soul.
Competitive
Magic is bad for your soul.
Then in the years I moved into war games or Warhammer, Infinity, whatever, all of those. And we were talking about earlier, we both got a little bit like for 40k, so we got thousands of miniatures, and we just feel like, just say it's bloated, it's a little bit too much.
Yeah. It is. It is.
And
same with Magic as a matter of fact. Exactly the same with Magic. Very bloated.
A few times in the last few years, I tried to touch back into like, let me see how the game is now, and I found it just like it's too much.
Impenetrable.
It's just like it's too bloated. It's too much. When I played this game for the first time, I thought I was like, this is a game that I could get obsessed again.
Yeah, there you go.
For whatever is good or bad.
This is so a Matt game.
It is.
Like, it really is. It may as well have a space on the box. It's literally a Matt game.
It just got everything that I love in those games.
Yeah.
Condensed, not bloated, faster.
Yeah, cool vibe.
Very cool vibe. I love the artwork. I love the
Yeah, yeah.
factions, and you got those like. The blue is the mage that does counter spell.
Yeah.
The black is placed with the green. It just got that how you call it, like a home feeling.
Yeah,
Like,
it's nostalgic almost.
I felt like I'm at home.
Yeah.
Chewie, we're home.
I recognize these things. I recognize these
feelings.
archetypes.
Yeah.
I recognize these things. And on top of that, playing Magic, and I'm thinking about in my head, I'm gonna play Magic, and my creature, I can move them on the board, and I can do like cool tricks, like in Warhammer, but without having to do like a million rules, and without having to wait an hour for your opponent to play
Or rolling
this
200 dice.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, with the good and bad that comes with that, because
Yes.
on these games, the attacks works with one dice. You roll a dice, you add with the attack that you got on your card, and that's very much it. And there is not much like in.
Yeah.
It's quick.
Yeah, it's quick. It's done.
It's quick and dirty. It's not like in Warhammer when we're gonna have like all
what
right,
strength and toughness,
three dice of 6 plus 2 percentage of this and that.
And then that buff from this buff from this.
23% of chances to hit you. I can't do that anymore. Probably getting too old.
Probably.
Well, this one I got a feel. I felt I was home.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see more and more. I wish that these games goes boom, because I would like more people to play. Again, we're not telling you guys to spend money on the game.
We haven't been paid for this either.
No,
this is not a paid preview. This is just our opinions on the game.
So, but if you want to play a game, just buy it. I'll come and play with you.
Matt wants to play. Hey, well, there we go. Matt is, like I said, Matt absolutely loves this game. I think this is really cool, and I respect what it's doing, even though it's not my kind of game. So that should tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
Let's take to the outro. So that was our preview of Malediction by Loot Studios. So Malediction, as we said, is available to back at some point now or near now.
Now, yeah, I think now
If
on
not,
Game Found.
Link below anyway to check it out.
Yeah,
and you can go and see that. And it is really cool. And if you know what else is really cool, you should know that you should.
Oh, it's hitting the subscribe button.
Yeah,
It's the coolest thing.
It's the coolest thing. It's super
yeah.
cool. You should click it. Cooler
don't
than
get-
magic.
Maledicted.
You don't get mad. You should be maledicted to hitting the subscribe button. And also get maledicted to checking out the rest of our videos. And we're going to catch you again real soon. Ciao.
Wants to be, game reviews for you and me. Wants to be, here's what you should play and see.